For more, let's go to Beirut. Lynn Malouf is Middle East Research Director for Amnesty International. And of course, the big concern when you look at the areas where those airstrikes have hit is that these are heavily populated areas.
Exactly. So as with any military offensive, our first concern is the concern about civilians. Now, what we know is that this whole region contains around 1.7 million civilians, according to the UN. So it is a heavily populated area. Our biggest concern is that the parties to the conflict will not abide by the laws of war, so by their international humanitarian obligations. From what we've seen in the past, last year when there was the offensive in northwestern Syria, around the areas of Afrin and Azaz, we had documented indiscriminate, unlawful attacks that had led within the span of a month to almost 100 casualties, 100 killed civilians, and of course, mass movements of population displacement. So again, this is our biggest concern, and we do call on all of the parties to this conflict to refrain and to abide by the laws of the war, to protect the civilians who are in this area.
Lynn Malouf, the French and the British calling for that emergency session of the UN Security Council. What would you like to see world leaders decide there?
Well, we call on all of the states and the allies and any states who have leverage on the situation right now to be calling and exerting for the protection of civilians. So allowing the free movement, allowing the free movement of civilians who want to flee. We've already been seeing images of cars and trucks and pickups filled with people who are trying to flee. These corridors and these movements have to be unrestricted. Now, Turkey has closed its border, which is a major point of concern for us. The fact that you are reporting now that the internet has been blocked is another point of concern. We call on the international community right now to be able to exert the pressure that they can to call on Turkey and all other parties to respect the laws of the war.
Lynn Malouf of Amnesty International, many thanks for speaking with us live from Beirut.